Welcome to the discussion, and I want to speak about the quality of your work. Well, really the quality of my work, the quality of your work as well, and the quality of our work. And we already know that from person to person, qualities may differ, and that's qualities from person to person. And also what differs among that is the quality of the work that they put out. What do they put out, and what is the quality of the work that you put in? What is the quality of the work that you do? What is the quality of the service that you can give to what is providing that service? What is the quality of the work that you do? And that has to do with the quality of your skills. It has to do with the quality of the way that you are as a being, that may be mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. There's different outputs that people have, and different quality outputs that they have, and there's definitely different standards amongst being to being that a being may have for their quality standard of the quality of the work that they do and the quality of the life that they live. Right now we're talking about the quality of the work that you do. So we're going to dial in on how the quality of the work that you do is. And how do you benefit the workplace, you could say work environment, for those that are creative, that creative environment, for those that have specific paths, then it'd be whenever you are in that state of, let's say, putting in the work, whether that be mentally, physically, emotionally, or spiritually, knowing that the times that we live in now, we have to put in work in all these areas, and there's sometimes that we have to, maybe sacrifice one area for another area to prosper and or have work being put into that specific area, and or to build that sector, or to build that space. And to build and work on the quality of that state of being, you have to have yourself in check, and you have to make sure that you are providing the right quality and really achieving the right quality that you have and the standard that you have for yourself. Not only the quality of the life that you live, but the quality of the life of the work that you put into. When it comes to mentally, it's the quality of, what kind of thoughts do you bring, what kind of thought process, what kind of questions do you ask, what kind of statements do you make, what quality do you bring to the team, what quality do you bring to yourself, in terms of mentally, what do you bring to the table, and what is the quality of the skill you're able to bring as far as mentally. Are you very mentally tapped in? Are you very mentally able to provide a high quality of mental communication, a high quality of mental explanation, a high quality of explaining a way of thinking, a high quality of going about something in terms of mentally? There's for sure a quicker way to explain something as far as the way that you can convey something using your mental abilities, versus a more complicated explanation for trying to get from point A to point B. So how good you are at explaining that, and that's going to come in handy, and not only in your own communications with people and at places and amongst things, but it'll also help in terms of being able to be mentally able to convey something to a customer, able to convey something to a client, able to convey something to an important step in the quality in your work and whatever you do for your work, to be able to provide the best quality of the work that you do, and to be proud of the quality of the work that you put in, is the right way to go about it. Because you could sit here all day and say, oh, proud, why do I want to be proud? Like, that's such a why would you use that word? Like, why would I want to be proud? Well, the thing is that if you're doing something and it's half-assed, or you're doing something and it's 50% of the effort that you're actually putting in, that you could be putting in, and you're only putting in a certain amount, then that's going to affect you in all sort of other areas. And you want to be able to make sure you can dial in your states of being to be able to work in the benefit of you and not end up slowing you down in the long run. So when it's like, it's a simple step of, sure, you don't have to call it, I'm proud of the work that I do, whatever, you don't have to speak it out, but at the end of the day, you have to know that you're providing that best quality of work that you can. And that quality of work is going to be perceived by others. Doesn't matter that's what others perceive about that. If you're one to want to know what others think and want to know what others to reflect off, and therefore, but if that's not the way that you go about things, then go ahead and just continue on providing that good quality of work, and it will be shown, it will be seen, even if that matters or doesn't matter to you. The fact of the matter is, if you're providing the highest quality of work, then you can lead by an example under your team. You can lead as a leader, and you can rub off an example as providing that highest quality of work. And so that's why it can come in handy, being able to, okay, mentally I need to provide a high quality of work. That means that these are the steps that I need to do, and these are the steps I need to take, and the actions that I need to take in order to reach the space of being able to provide the best quality of work as far as mentally. So whether that's prepping something mentally, whether that's getting the structure mentally, researching the client, getting all that, absorbing that information, researching who you're dealing with. Maybe it's not a client, maybe what about this person's practice, whether that be a mental practice, physical practice, emotional or spiritual practice. What about this practice can I get in tune with? What can I tap into? Therefore, ahead of time, I'm getting into already wanting to, not wanting to, but already getting in the energy of providing the highest quality of work, and to the point of having to be proud of the work that you do. It's about the moral aspect and the virtues of everything that I do is to the fullest of my ability, and I'm not half-assing things. That was the point that I wanted to finish in regard to why it's important to not skimp out and not put in your full effort. Therefore, it's a saying of be proud of the work that you do, but it's much deeper of it comes intrinsically. It's something that comes within, and once you tap into that and you realize that, you will move that way from that point on. I mean, I've worked in the fast food industry for 6+ years, and I've done that since day one, and I haven't had to stress about a single interaction. And of course, sure, there were difficult times, and there's nothing constant but change, and opposition is something that, and resistance is something that are existing in this reality, and there's something that has to be dealt with. But being able to just have the moral aspect and have the virtue of providing the highest quality of work, and having the output of my personal output being the highest quality. And if for some reason a skill is lacking, working on the skills to make sure that I can make the progress towards providing the highest quality of work. And then mentally, it's always been reminding the self and reminding that, hey, mentally, I gotta always keep on the up and up when it comes to mentally. Therefore, I don't miss out on the right time to hop on a certain wavelength as far as mentally. Think a certain thought as far as mentally. A thought that is going to move the situation more towards actually having the work done successfully and at a high quality standard. And having that standard for yourself. And like I said, I spoke on it already. You can get ahead by doing this when others might not be. So that's an important note when it comes to the quality of your work. And when it comes to the quality of the work, when it comes to, and that's mentally, I want to kind of slow things down. I just want to kind of go with the flow right here in this video. And I'm glad that I'm making this topic. I want to do more and more topics that I think far more people can, and other beings, right, that are spiritual beings, people that are aware of the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual states of being far beyond just what you may have been told. But we're talking about stuff that I think is more relatable in this video, which is good. And when it comes to mentally, the work that you provide, don't slack off when it comes to mentally. Don't be mentally weak. Don't give up as far as mentally. The mental realm is so strong and it's so powerful. And those of us that are natural thinkers and that are naturally through our own qualities, right? When we talk about qualities, these are qualities from being to being. We know that once you have a mentally stable system going, and you're striving towards putting in a high quality of work as far as mentally, that can lead into, and that can start out the framework for all other states of beings to kind of fall under, for lack of a better term, in regard to, boom, into perfection as far as fitting into the regards of being focused on the high quality of work. So as far as you're leading with the mental realm, it's very powerful that the mental state of being can be used as a way to lead through all experiences in life. What's the quality of your work when we talk about physically? Well, what's your physical output? Look in the mirror, do some self-reflecting. Do you put out and do enough work, and quality work that be? And does it reflect in your physical stature? Does it reflect in your physical vessel? Does it reflect in the way that you move about as far as physically? Does it reflect in the way that you interact with the world as far as physically? Does it reflect in the way that you are? Does it reflect? I'm just adjusting the camera so that the sound wasn't hopefully muffled the whole time. It has been on a carpet, but I think it surely is picking up volume. But truly, what is the quality of your work as far as physically? Is it hard work? Are you doing semi-hard work? Do you kind of work hard? Do you work hard only when it's asked of you? Do you work hard when only your things that you want to happen or have happen are being done right away? Do you only work hard when it's favorable for your outcome? Of course, you're going to reap the rewards for working at a high quality, and striving for it will make sure that you're in that position. But making sure that physically you are having a high quality of work, I think that's important. I think that the actions speak very loud. I think that words, and I think that physically, that physical realm is very strong as well, and it has its own space, and we're not going to compare. But just like the mental, if you are putting in work and you're actually seeing the outcomes as far as physically, and you know that the quality of your work is rising, and you continue on that path of progression, you're going to end up working on building towards the goals that you already want to achieve, thus achieving success in these areas as far as physically, and that can all branch out, and that directly affects the quality of the work that you put in physically. Because let's say you work out stronger, therefore at the job later, you're that much more able to complete this job to a higher standard of quality, to a higher quality standard, to the highest quality that you can put forth as far as physically. And it goes into everything. If you do one thing you lackluster as far as physically, another thing over here is going to lackluster physically as well, maybe mentally, maybe emotionally, maybe spiritually. Where are you putting your energy into as far as physically? And is the energy that you're putting into things as far as physically, the output of that, high quality work that is putting you closer to your goals and not sitting you farther and farther away from your goals? You know, there's people that work from sun up to sundown, and they do things in order to have more and more time, in order to work, in order to continue on the grind, in order to continue to be successful in whatever that may be. But do they have purpose? Do they have a high quality of work? Sure, they must some, and those that aspire to that, good for them. I think that's the right thing to do, is to work towards a high quality of work in order to find fulfillment. That just goes without saying. But then there are some who have no purpose and are probably just doing things to, let's say, get by, and the high quality work might not be there, and they might just be doing kind of moderately good work and whatever that may be. But where there's purpose for self, and there's a way for you to provide a service of high quality, and there's also possibly financial monetary gain, which is the way that things are run, and that's a benefit there, then I would say those two can benefit each other, and that's a strong structure right there for you to roll out with, moving on a sort of that way. Maybe that's an expedition, maybe that's a new job that you're working on, that's a career, that's something that has purpose intertwined with the fulfillment, maybe the financial fulfillment, or whatever the fulfillment may be. But if you're not putting in a high quality work as far as physically, you're not going to see the results. I mean, that goes with working out, that goes with the gym, it goes with diet, it goes with work at certain jobs that there are, and certain walks of life that there are, and that's as far as physically. You know, think about the quality of the work physically. That's one that you can definitely progress on and make the progress on a constant basis, and therefore see the results. Because we were talking physically, but now we're talking emotionally. What's the work that you put, what's the quality, and you put in a high quality work as far as emotionally when you're around other people and with yourself? Let's start with ourselves. We always want to make sure that within we are balanced, and within that we are honored and honoring respect before we branch out to others. Therefore, we don't toxic the waters, we don't muddy the waters, and therefore end up making someone else feel a certain way just because we had a certain emotional state of being that was a little out of whack or out of balance or out of unstableness. We acted on a whim because of an emotional stance on something. We gotta stand to not fall into repetitive actions out of feeling a certain way. So when we are emotionally putting in high quality work, to ourselves, that means taking care of ourselves. That means giving us grace. That means making sure that you are emotionally fulfilled within first, and therefore then you can go on and go outward from that point on and expand from that point on and deal with others and whatnot. And when we're dealing with others as far as emotionally, if that's a benefit of you to get along or to work with other people, let's say teamwork, teamwork makes the dream work. Let's say the benefits of that, you got to be able to put in high quality work as far as emotionally, and that's being able to relate to people. That's being emotionally be able to, you're not necessarily doing anything you're not comfortable with. It's not about that. It's about, like I said, once within is balance and once within is honoring and respecting of the self, then you're not going to be doing things that are awkward or that are uncomfortable. If you listen to the first part that I said, it's within, and then you can go ahead and reach out and put in that work as far as externally when it comes to emotionally, and the quality of the work that you put in when it comes to emotionally. And that's a great point. So make sure you guys remember that. I'm glad that I made that point right there. When it comes to that, the way that you can stay putting in emotionally high quality work is by remembering to be balanced within. Therefore, you're not unbalanced when dealing with others, and you're not emotionally a wreck or emotionally unstable. Therefore, you can work with that partner. You can work with that teammate. You can work with that business partner. You can work with that client. You can work with that customer in a way of emotional smoothness and emotional clairvoyance, really. And working on that emotional clairvoyance and that emotional balance, just like I said, has been a huge thing in a way to definitely make sure that you're providing high quality work and that work environment and that creative environment that you're trying to also prosper in, and be able to use that to the advantage. And when we talk about spiritually, what kind of work do you put in as far as spiritually, and what is the quality of the work you put in as far as spiritually? Sure, there's people that are dropping multiple videos of spiritual content and spiritual aspects to things, spiritual knowledges and truths and spiritual wisdoms to help people all the time, and there's those creators that may do that multiple times a day, may do that 3-4 times a day, may do that once a day, may be so consistent, and that's great. That's to see that the work is being put in, and on a spiritual path like that, that's something that you can look at and see it as inspiring. What is the quality of the work that we're doing as far as spiritually, and the content that we're putting out there as far as spiritually, and the content and the video and the energy that we're putting out there for others to be subject to? What is the quality of that? I don't think that's a question that's asked often enough. I think there's been enough great, valuable things that have been put out there in high quality work as far as spiritually, and at the same time there's been some that has been not worth it and regurgitated and not high quality and kind of half truth and maybe not as beneficial as the next. Of course, we remind ourselves of each one teach one, therefore no specific being, no specific person's perspective should be judged upon and compared and contrasted to one another, because each one can teach one perspective is no better than the next, as long as you can gain something from the other. So it's about that acceptance and being able to know, like, what is the quality of work that I'm putting in spiritually. I can be aware of that in others, and they are on their own spiritual path, and the way that they interact as far as not only spiritually but mentally, physically, emotionally as well. Giving the spiritual, seeing it through the spiritual perspective of we are all different spirits. helps to remind that you want to make sure that the quality of the work that you put in, even spiritually, is of high quality and of good, great quality that can have meaning, and that meaning can be derived from, and that can splinter off into many other things, leading towards more and more successes in not only spiritual, but the emotional, physical, and mental states of being. And in all experiences that one may go through mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, that they stay working towards the high quality of work and making sure that the output that they are putting is of high quality.